watching UnrealEntGaming. This is Vegito, the prince of all Saiyans. Make sure you subscribe to UnrealEntGaming and push the like button for me.
Or else you'll be Hakai!
Not Beerus.
You know how this works. Make sure you enable all notifications on the channel and watch the entire video all the way through.
And don't forget to follow UnrealEntGaming on both Instagram and Twitter.
That's enough! On with the video.
With our heroes now locked in a very deadly battle against Merno and thus being shown having to fight for their lives, there are only seconds remaining until all of the laws in which the Grand Priest is bounded by are then shown being lifted as the Grand Priest is looking to finally end things against Merno, which now ultimately begs the million-dollar question, with our heroes shown doing everything they possibly can and being able to find a way in destroying Merno. Unless this calls for Vegito's Spirit Bomb in being what destroys Merno, the billion-dollar question going forward is, will the Grand Priest's unrestricted fight against Merno be what results in Merno's destruction, or is Merno hiding more than meets the eye up his sleeve, which will ultimately then result in Merno having to wipe out our heroes for good? Now, before we dive any further into this video, if you are new to the channel and of course have a love and passion for all things Dragon Ball related, including its manga, anime, video games, fan animations, fan mangas, and more, in which would also like to be kept up to date with everything in regards to the Dragon Ball Super manga, the Dragon Ball Super anime, Dragon Ball video games, and any and all additional content within the Dragon Ball universe, then I do encourage you guys to head on over and smash that subscribe button and turn on all notifications by clicking on the bell icon to always be notified whenever a brand new video is posted onto the channel, as well as giving this video a big thumbs up by slapping that like button down below if you guys are simply excited to see what the future holds for the Dragon Ball franchise. And with all that being said, I want to thank you all so much for your time, thank you all so much for supporting the channel, and now let's dive straight into the video. As our story continues with Merno seemingly enough getting ready and attacking the Grand Priest and the Omni Kings, as out of nowhere before Merno could carry out his axe, Beerus went on to grab onto Merno's hand by telling him, "Not so fast, Angel, some of us aren't finished with you just yet. You may be more powerful than us, but our resolve will never be shattered. I'm sure if you weren't able to see this before, then surely now you can. This is my universe," Beerus says, "and I won't let you do anything to destroy it." "You are a joke to me, feeble destroyer," Merno says. "Your resolve means nothing to me. Your numbers mean nothing to me. Your power means nothing to me. You are no longer on my radar," he adds. "Stand aside and wait your turn." "What the heck? He's gone," Beerus says. As with Merno shown having to speed blitz right past Beerus in doing what he was just about to do, Merno then went on to turn his attention back at the Grand Priest and the Omni Kings by responding, "The only ones who matter are the ones who sit and protect the throne. The root of all hypocrisy and lies," he adds. And as Merno had then proceeded in firing multiple energy blasts at them, in completely disregarding the small amount of time that the Grand Priest had needed to fight, Merno then went on to continue, "Your rules mean nothing to me. Maybe this will get you to break them and face me, you cowards. This is what I think of your pathetic and delusional laws held in place." But before Merno's blast could actually reach the Grand Priest and the Omni Kings, out of nowhere, Golden Majin Buu ended up teleporting right in front of them as Golden Buu went on to shout, "I don't think so. Now let's see if this works. It's been a very long time." So what Golden Majin Buu ends up doing is Golden Majin Buu ends up extending his mouth open and literally then being shown having to swallow each and every single one of Merno's blasts, as Merno went on to look up by asking, "What does that mortal think he's doing? Oh, I see. A redirection counter. You creatures are all so predictable." As with Golden Majin Buu nearly shown having to explode from within, he only then quickly took it upon himself in firing all of Merno's attacks back at him, to where Merno was not impressed in the slightest, as Merno was shown having to deflect each and every single one of them by responding, "Using my own attacks against me won't help you, fools. I am invincible. No damage can destroy me, even if you are somehow able to use my attacks against me. To where out of nowhere, one of Merno's blasts, which was seen having to be deflected by him, was then ultimately shown making its way towards Vegito, who was holding the spirit bomb, as Vegito went on to shout, "Damn, we can't let that blast hit us!" Which fortunately enough for Vegito, he was actually able to teleport out of the way fast enough in avoiding Merno's blast completely, as Vegito then went on to look on up and responding, "Whew, that was close, we're still in the game. If that blast had connected, the entire spirit bomb would have been a gigantic waste. I don't think it'll be enough though," he adds. "We still need more, there's got to be another way." And with Merno then shown infuriated by the idea of everyone having to get in his way, an angry Merno then took it upon himself and having to power up then by responding, "I've had it with you worms and your constant interference. You will not deny me of my destiny. Since you wanted my attention this badly, now you..." But then, all of a sudden, Merno stops as he went on to look on up and noticing something as Merno went on to comment, "Wait a second, that surge of energy just now, could it really be? That had to have come from him. I just know it did. He seems more determined now than he was a minute ago." "Yes, that confirms it then," Merno says. "He's ready." And with the Grand Priest then being shown having to stand there with every grain of sand now having to fall at the very bottom, it would only now appear as though the time has finally come, as the Grand Priest went on to address Merno by telling him, "Never in my life would I ever have dreamed for a day like this to come. For a father's hand to be forced in fighting and destroying his son for the abominable acts that he has committed. I tried speaking sense into you," the Grand Priest says. "I tried giving you a chance to see the harm that you were doing not only onto others, but onto yourself as well. These acts of mass genocide end here with me, Merno. Time's up," the Grand Priest says. And as both of the Omni Kings are then shown having to be visibly very excited as they cannot wait to see what's about to unfold, the Omni Kings then went on to comment, "Hey, look, he did it! The Grand Minister did it! He completed our challenge! Look there, time's up! Time's up, time's up," says the second Omni King. "Do you feel that? The Grand Priest looks really scary. Do you feel his power? Oh, this is so exciting!" "Well, you got what you were asking for," Merno says. "Does that mean that you are no longer going to be chained like an animal and face the consequences that you have coming? Because I'm ready to shred you and be done with this." As even Mastered Ultra Instinct Vegito went on to sense this, with Vegito shown continuing to collect more energy for the Spirit Bomb, he then went on to respond, "Whoa, that energy, that means time's up. We did it. We were able to help the Grand Priest with the time he needed. So that just then means," as with Merno shown having to point up at the Grand Priest, he then went on to tell him, "I want you to know that this is going to be the last battle that you will ever live to see. Everything will be used against you. Let this be the final chapter in the story of your deception. Remember what's on the line here, you snake. If you fail, then you can kiss the very essence of all reality and existence goodbye." As it was during this moment where all hell was about to break loose, Whis went on to inform everyone by shouting, "Everyone brace yourselves! The Grand Minister's restrictions has been lifted!" As with Merno then shown having to power up with tremendous amounts of force, he then went on to shout, "I've waited eons for this day. Today will be the day where you finally meet your end. Now come and stop me if you truly think you can." And it was only right then and there where the Grand Priest had then finally taken initiative in then being shown making the first move, in then being shown having to move towards Merno with such tremendous amounts of speed, the present Omni King then went on to shout, "Oh wow, 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 wow! Did you just see how fast the Grand Priest moved?" And with the Grand Priest then shown having to strike Merno, with Merno shown having to defend himself, the Grand Priest went on to tell Merno, "You wanted me? Well, here I am, child." With the Grand Priest being shown having to strike Merno with such tremendous amounts of force that not only was the Grand Priest able to hit Merno hard enough in taking him off the planet, but the Grand Priest from there was then seemingly enough having to drive Merno through several different planets, as even Vegito went on to comment, "Whoa, did you guys just see that? We were barely able to keep our eyes on them. Look, he's driving Merno deep into outer space with ease." "It's much more than that," Beerus chimes in. "Look closely. He's smashing him through every planet along the way. In all my years," Beerus adds, "I've often heard about the Grand Priest's power, but to see it up close like this is beyond words." As indeed this happened to be the case with the Grand Priest shown driving Merno through every single planet along the way. From that point on, with everyone having to observe, Kefla went on to ask, yeah, but can he do it? Is the Grand Priest strong enough to destroy him this time? There's no doubt about it, Gohan says. He has to be. Unless Merno can be seen matching him, I think this is it, you guys. I think Merno just might be done for. As through the other side of one of the planets, with the Grand Priest shown having to push Merno on through, he then went on to tell him, you were able to bully your way around by tossing your weight at those who are unable to fully compete with you in battle. Does it hurt to know that feeling when it's now being thrown back at you, Merno? As with Merno then shown having to attempt to strike the Grand Priest, he then went on to respond, shut your mouth, you snake. You left me for dead, your own angel, the best of the best, thrown away in favor of tyrannical children. Enough, the Grand Priest responds. As he then followed up by kicking Merno in the stomach, he then went on to tell him, your hatred and lust for revenge and power has not only deteriorated your mind, but it has spiraled so far out of control that you are beyond reasoning, and I cannot allow you to have things go your way. As the sheer force and impact of the Grand Priest kick was so intense that Merno's body had went crashing through several different planets before having to stabilize himself in space by responding, why, you? Maybe you've forgotten who you're dealing with here. Let's not forget that I was the only one among our race to ever stand up to you in battle, and it's for a very good reason, Merno adds, as with Merno shown having to duck on under in avoiding the Grand Priest punch. In being able to respond as quickly as it happened, Merno then went on to continue, it's for the same reason why you feared my potential, because you knew once you saw it with your very own eyes that if I was allowed to remain where I was, then I would have ultimately have taken your place and surpassed you completely, he says. As within that moment, Merno had then quickly followed up by having to then be shown uppercutting the Grand Priest in the stomach with such tremendous amounts of power that literally all the planets behind the Grand Priest were then shown having to be vaporized, which not only displayed the sheer amount of power that both of these individuals were displaying, but in the middle of having to then uppercut the Grand Priest, Merno then went on to continue, you were scared, you were jealous, weren't you? Because you knew that I would become a much better Grand Priest than you. This is on your head, Merno adds. You taught me everything there is to know, and because you did, I am now going to use it all to kill you. As with Merno then quickly following up by them being shown punching the Grand Priest in the face, which thus resulted in the Grand Priest also being shown having to crash through several different planets with both Whis and Vados observing. Even the angels themselves could not seem to believe this, as Whis went on to respond, Vados, are you seeing this? He struck him, Vados adds. Give him time, I don't think the Grand Priest is finished, she adds. We must keep our eyes on them, Whis adds. Something tells me that Father has a plan, but what could it be, he asks. I do not doubt his ability in this battle, but we must not lose track of them. As with the Grand Priest then being shown having to land back on the planet in which everyone else was on, and thus being shown stabilizing himself and wiping his face, the Grand Priest then went on to ask, surely that wasn't the best that you can do, was it? I would never underestimate your skill in battle, but it'll take more than one lucky strike to destroy me. And this itself really went on to piss Merno off, as Merno was shown having to close on in, and once again looking to make waste of destroying his father, Merno went on to shout, you've got some nerve. As with Merno then shown having to strike the Grand Priest, with the Grand Priest being shown having to grab onto Merno's punch, there is a massive shockwave generated from the sheer force of this strike that everyone else alongside with the Omni Kings are beginning to feel this, as the Omni Kings went on to respond, hey, look, the entire planet is shaking. No, the entire universe is shaking, says the second Omni King. This is a really scary fight, as even Jiren went on to respond, what impact? Everything around us is violently shaking. Ah, come on, Vegito says, hold it. Darn, all of this shaking is throwing me off, Vegito says. We can't lose focus and have this be wasted. I'm hoping those two don't destroy the entire universe while they battle. Come on, come on. As we then go back to Merno, who was then shown mid-strike and looking very angry, he then went on to respond, why, you? I can see it in your eyes, Merno says. You think I can't win, don't you? You think I don't have what it takes to destroy you, is that it? You've lost your ways, child, says the Grand Priest. You do not have what it takes to win against me, and you never will. Unless there is more to you than meets the eye, this war that you have been waging against the gods is over, and you know it, Merno. Your fate has already been decided, but Merno still attempts to attack the Grand Priest anyway, because with Merno then shown having to attack his father in attempting to punch him, with the Grand Priest being shown having to dodge each and every single one of his strikes, Merno went on to shout, "And just look who's the one getting ahead of themselves now. Enough," the Grand Priest says. "It was as I said, the outcome of this battle along with your fate has already been decided." As with the Grand Priest once again being shown having to punch Merno back, Merno had refused to go down, as even Vados and Whis went on to acknowledge this, with Vados responding, "I can't believe it's Whis. He's driving him back. Merno is losing ground," with Whis responding, "I see it too. But look closely," Whis adds. Merno is beginning to get flustered. His energy is starting to flare. As with Merno then shown having to visibly be angry, he then went on to respond, "So I see that you're just as tough as I remembered you being. Perhaps you haven't gone soft like the rest of those fools after all. And now that I can see that for myself, I now understand what I need to do. All this truly means is that I'm going to have to try just a little harder if I want to get my point across." A worthy opponent indeed, but a dead one at that, with the Grand Priest responding, "Don't try it, Merno. Extinguish your ambitions for revenge before it's too late. You cannot win." But once again, Merno is not willing to back down, because as soon as Merno had then gone in speed blitzing towards the Grand Priest, in an act of absolute rage, Merno then went on to shout, "I'd rather die 1,000,000,000 deaths over before I ever lay myself down to you traitors. Now die!" As right then and there, with Merno shown having to strike the Grand Priest, it was only then all of a sudden, as the sheer fabric of space-time around them was beginning to shatter, Vegito went on to shout, "What the heck is happening? Holy crap," Kefla says, "the sky! What's going on?" As the fight between the Grand Priest and Merno was now beginning to get so intense that they were both now beginning to shatter through reality itself, as Vados went on to respond, "They're tearing through the fabric of reality. They're shattering through dimensions with the sheer force of their attacks." As both the Grand Priest and Merno were then showing having to travel from the present timeline into the future timeline and then back out through another exit, as the Grand Priest was then shown having to regain control in smashing Merno through several different realities. As soon as they had both came crashing through the other side, the Grand Priest went on to tell Merno, "You've invoked mass genocide on all those who've you deemed as unfit and unworthy to live. You, an angel whose responsibility was to watch over creation, not destroy it, decided to want to lust after complete control of the throne in order to see your vision through. You have violated your oath as a grand angel and have spat in my face for granting you the life that you were so fortunate to live." As with the Grand Priest then shown punching Merno, he then went on to continue, "First you will be punished for the crimes against the gods that you have committed, and then you will be punished for the disruptive chaos you've created through your presence within the existing multiverse. And you truly think it will be that easy?" Merno asks. "You've acknowledged me before as your successor. And just as you've acknowledged me once before," Merno says, as he then went on to grab the Grand Priest by his arm. He then quickly followed through by having to throw the Grand Priest with such tremendous force by telling him, "You will acknowledge me once more as being your superior. That throne will be mine," Merno shouts, as once again, Merno was then shown having to strike the Grand Priest in shattering through reality by telling him, "And I will do everything in my power to have it." As with Merno then shown having to visibly be angry, he then went on to respond, "So I see that you're just as tough as I remembered you being. Perhaps you haven't gone soft like the rest of those fools after all. And now that I can see that for myself, I now understand what I need to do. All this truly means is that I'm going to have to try just a little harder if I want to get my point across." A worthy opponent indeed, but a dead one at that, with the Grand Priest responding, "Don't try it, Merno. Extinguish your ambitions for revenge before it's too late. You cannot win." But once again, Merno is not willing to back down, because as soon as Merno had then gone in speed blitzing towards the Grand Priest, in an act of absolute rage, Merno then went on to shout, "I'd rather die 1,000,000,000 deaths over before I ever lay myself down to you traitors. Now die!" As right then and there, with Merno shown having to strike the Grand Priest, it was only then all of a sudden, as the sheer fabric of space-time around them was beginning to shatter, Vegito went on to shout, "What the heck is happening? Holy crap," Kefla says, "the sky! what's going on? As the fight between the Grand Priest and Merno was now beginning to get so intense that they were both now beginning to shatter through reality itself. As Vados went on to respond, they're tearing through the fabric of reality. They're shattering through dimensions with the sheer force of their attacks. As both the Grand Priest and Merno were then showing having to travel from the present timeline into the future timeline and then back out through another exit, as the Grand Priest was then shown having to regain control in smashing Merno through several different realities. As soon as they had both came crashing through the other side, the Grand Priest went on to tell Merno, "You've invoked mass genocide on all those who've you deemed as unfit and unworthy to live. You, an angel whose responsibility was to watch over creation, not destroy it, decided to want to lust after complete control of the throne in order to see your vision through. You have violated your oath as a grand angel and have spat in my face for granting you the life that you were so fortunate to live." As with the Grand Priest then shown punching Merno, he then went on to continue, "First you will be punished for the crimes against the gods that you have committed, and then you will be punished for the disruptive chaos you've created through your presence within the existing multiverse. And you truly think it will be that easy?" Merno asks. "You've acknowledged me before as your successor. And just as you've acknowledged me once before," Merno says, as he then went on to grab the Grand Priest by his arm. He then quickly followed through by having to throw the Grand Priest with such tremendous force by telling him, "You will acknowledge me once more as being your superior. That throne will be mine," Merno shouts, as once again, Merno was then shown having to strike the Grand Priest in shattering through reality by telling him, "And I will do everything in my power to have it." As Merno and the Grand Priest were then once again being shown having to tear through the Dragon Ball Super Broly timeline, the Granola timeline, and many others, Beerus went on to put this into question by asking, "I can't believe what I'm seeing. They'll destroy the entire multiverse if this keeps going. Whis, what's happening?" With Whis responding, "As shocking as this may sound, my lord, I can barely keep up with their movements at this point. They are moving at such a pace where it appears as though they are standing still, but they're not. This is exactly why angels are forbidden from fighting, especially angels at their level. This is now beginning to affect all of reality and every timeline." But even then, with Merno shown attempting to punch the Grand Priest with the Grand Priest dodging, the Grand Priest then went on to inform Merno by telling him, "I'm very impressed. Despite your absence throughout the generations, you haven't forgotten your training. But I haven't taught you everything." And with the Grand Priest then shown punching Merno in the face, the sheer result of this one punch alone was enough to send Merno crashing through yet another reality. With Merno then making his exit as the Grand Priest followed, he then went on to tell him, "You called for this war, child. Your rage is what drove you into now suffering as you've suffered once before. Order will be restored," he says. "Let this painful beating be a stark reminder of how badly you've fallen from grace." As with Merno's body once again being shown having to smash through several different planets, Kefla went on to ask, "Are you guys seeing this? There will be nothing left by the time they're done." "I don't think Merno stands a chance," Android 35 says, "but I have a bad feeling about something." As with the Grand Priest being shown having to look out into deep outer space, he then went on to comment, "I haven't been forced to engage in this way for many generations. He's every bit as dangerous and mighty as I remembered him being when he was by my side. Is there anything left of the real you in there?" the Grand Priest asks. "Don't make me do this." As with Merno shown having to still continuously being shown smashing through planets, while at the same time in an eerie way being shown smiling, Merno went on to comment, "I can't believe it. Would you look at that? I haven't felt actual pain since you nearly eradicated me eons ago. Well done, Snake. You've proven to be a worthy opponent after all. But if this is all you think that I can do, then you are in for a shocking surprise." "Whis, tell me, can he win?" Beerus asks. "Is the Grand Priest using his full power? Why isn't the fight over?" With Whis responding, "I honestly cannot tell you, my lord. I sense confliction within the Grand Priest's heart. Maybe that's because he truly doesn't want to kill one of his own," he adds. "I believe the Grand Minister might be searching for any redeemable qualities that still may exist within him. And I'm sure that if he doesn't find them, then he will end Merno's life once and for all. Unless there is something that we aren't seeing on the surface yet." As with Mastered Ultra Instinct Vegito still being shown having to collect energy for his Spirit Bomb, in an act of desperation in being able to see his plan through, Vegito went on to address everyone by shouting, "Everyone listen up! We need more power! We've gathered as much as we could from this universe and it won't be enough. Listen to me, if this is all that we can collect from Universe 7, then unless there's another way, I need you all to lend me more of your energy right now. We can't risk it it all on just this. It's all or nothing, so please, we need to hurry, as it was only then during that moment where the Beyond Dragon Ball Super story of Merno vs. the Multiverse manga chapter number 31 special then comes to a close. Now this is it. This was the moment that everybody was waiting for, and now seeing firsthand how the tables have now been turned on Merno, with not only the Grand Priest having to further demonstrate how powerful he truly is, but the sheer fight between these two is so intense that it's literally beginning to now shatter all space-time and reality, as of course we see them moving into different dimensions as of course they continuously engage, which ultimately even now further begs the question, even with Merno being shown having to have a significant disadvantage against the Grand Priest, then does this ultimately mean that Merno's time is essentially going to be up here, or does Merno have a few other tricks up his sleeve that he's just waiting to use against the Grand Priest, which is bound to be a game changer if and only if Merno is able to pull something off here, to where we are currently working on the next manga chapter, which is that of manga chapter number 32, which should be available on the channel as soon as we end up crushing our like goal, to which right now for us to reach manga chapter number 32, the like goal that we're going to set on this video is going to be 25,000 likes. A very, very simple like goal to achieve, because collectively all you guys really have to do is come together, scroll on down below, and give this video a big fat thumbs up by smashing that like button, and that's essentially it. It's simple, it's quick, it's easy, and more importantly, it's free. So down the comment section below, what I also want to know from you guys is, do you think that this is it for Merno, as he's currently being shown on the opposite side of the spectrum in not having any control of this battle whatsoever? Is this going to be lights out for him, or is he going to somehow figure out a way and bounce back in this fight against his father as of course the fight continues? Because now that we're nearing the end of the entire story, one must ask, is Merno really going to get the victory in the end, or in some way, shape, or form will our heroes be able to finally do it, in thus having to finally put an end to Merno's terror by wiping him out once and for all? Again, I do want to go on ahead and thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for your time. As always, if you guys just so happen to be new to this channel, then I do encourage you guys to go on over and smash that subscribe button and turn on all notifications by clicking on the bell icon. That way you guys never miss a single video that's posted onto the channel. And like I said before, be sure to go on ahead and give this video a big fat thumbs up by smashing that like button down below. Tune back in for more, because with what we have coming up for you guys next, it's really going to be fun. So as always, thank you so much for your patience. Thank you so much for your time. Tune back in for more, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you down the comment section below and in the next video. Take it easy, guys, and have a great day. Peace.
Hello. Did you know that you can stay up to date with the latest Dragon Ball content by simply subscribing to UnrealEntGaming?
Also, don't forget to follow on these social media platforms, you sexy son of a bitch.
Roshi.
Silent Cell, me and the fans are having a moment. That's right. I know what you want. Extra long, thick Dragon Ball content. Quality reviews with flawless editing. Yeah, you like that, wouldn't you? You dirty bitch.
Roshi, the fuck?
God damn it, I need them to subscribe, Cell.
And we're demonetized.
Yeah, screw it. Let's cut to the video.